A trapezoid.
Night of the Living podcast is always ad-free for patrons at patreon.com/NOTLP.
Did you know that nuns can like smoke, they can drink, they can like do that stuff?
Is that real or only in movies?
Well, I only have experience with movies.
Should we call the local nunnery? It's like, can y'all smoke?
They're devilish and they're wrong. Anyway, they're Jesus's brides.
Yeah.
I was having this discussion with Freddy yesterday. If women can be, nuns are Jesus's bride, like it's a wedding ceremony, right?
Mm-hmm. The church. They kind of talk about it like the bride of Christ and the church. The church is. I get confused by all.
But like,
stuff.
what is the dude? What are dudes? What are priests? They're just buds.
Buds of Christ.
They're like
friends of Christ.
Friends.
Yeah.
Like a friend of in the Bravo universe.
Are you thinking they should be the grooms of Christ or something?
I mean,
yeah.
Why do women have to take such a fucking subservient, damn position all the time?
Maybe we need a copy of. Is there Catholicism for Dummies?
Yeah, it's called Living in Cincinnati. I should know these things.
You should know it. You are surrounded by Catholics.
So are we to assume that Jesus is a polygamist?
Yeah.
All these brides?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of nuns in the world. And if they're all the brides of Jesus,
yeah.
Come on.
I think it's metaphorical, right?
Welcome to Night of the Living podcast. Freddy thinks it's metaphorical.
I think.
Andy thinks it's real life.
They live on a big giant compound and have their own reality show.
Real sister wives.
And Amy's over here like, I don't know. Anyway, welcome to Night of the Living podcast.
Andy, get your nuns the theme, huh?
Continues to be. This week we're doing Häxan. Häxan, is that how we're pronouncing it?
Häxan.
Okay.
Häxan.
It has an umlaut over the A. So what does an umlaut do?
It modifies the sound of the vowel, but
what does it do to
I can't tell you
the
that.
A in Häxan?
I think it's the cue to put the tip of your tongue into the back of your teeth and raise the back of your tongue.
Häxan.
You said Häxan.
Häxan.
Häxan. I think it's supposed to take a little bit of the edge off of that or A. It's an in-between.
I had the worst time in my German class. I remember being in, it was my freshman year of college. I was taking German because I had taken it in high school. And I was like, let's do life on easy mode. And they were trying to get me to say Dankeschön. The fucking umlaut in that word. I couldn't do it. And I remember the teacher just making me repeat myself and repeat myself and repeat myself and repeat myself in front of all these people. And I just couldn't get it.
How were you supposed to say it?
She never got it.
I'm asking in general.
Oh.
Okay.
Well,
because I'm very upset with you right now.
Yeah, I just know the Wayne Newton song.
Yeah, that's
not how it's pronounced.
Dankeschön. It's not right.
Is it like Schoen or something?
Donkey shame?
Listen, it's not even called Cologne, Germany. It's called Cologne. That's got a motherfucking umlaut. Listen, Germans or people who understand German or who are like mad at our pronunciation. I mean, just sorry. It ain't our fault.
It could be important though when you're citing an incantation. The pronunciation could become important if you're reading from an ancient text and trying to raise or commune with the dead or
that would be
devils.
nicht so gut.
Right. So don't fuck around with that pronunciation if you're in a cult.
I mean, I'm only participating in rituals written in English from now on. Because I'm not gonna get screwed again.
But they all in English they all sound.
You got screwed before?
Yeah, I ended up a human centipede.
It was
just for like a little bit.
You think like every incantation.
What segment were you?
I was in the middle. It was awful.
Oh, that's the worst.
The middle of
But at least you get to know you're shitting in somebody's mouth. So at least you're winning a little. If you're the last person, you don't get to win at all.
Yeah. I was just thinking incantations in English just sound like Stuart Smalley, probably.
Yes. That's what I would prefer.
They sound like
and for them
daily
to
affirmations.
Rhyme. I like them to rhyme, please. I also like to rhyme. Yeah. And to get your nun, we're still on that fucking religious bullshit. But Häxan's very different, and we'll talk about its differences later. But in the meantime, how y'all doing?
It's been a tough week for everybody out there, I'm sure.
It's been a tough week for everybody out there. Can I just tell you the worst thing that could have happened to anybody this week? I took a Zyrtec. And listen, I know Benadryl makes me a certain way. Why I thought Zyrtec would be different, I don't know. But I'm still dealing with the effects of taking the Zyrtec. It has made me restless AF. I cannot fucking sit still. I cannot focus on anything. We had to get the weighted blanket out to get me to fucking calm the goddamn fuck down last night.
So basically, it was to tie you down.
Yeah.
To keep you from moving.
It's like 100 degrees and I'm pulling the weighted blanket out.
Yeah. And I woke up this morning still, I took it last night, and I woke up this morning still like bouncing off the gosh dang walls.
You seem a little better now.
I almost called you, Andy, and was like, I can't do the show tonight because I can't sit still. But then there's this thing called weed, and it is helping.
I think getting the Zyrtec out of your system is helping.
Yeah.
The longer you're
trying to
from
piss
the
that bad
dose.
boy out.
Yeah.
Is anybody else in this world, please write me, get this reaction. I have this, it's worse on Benadryl, and I can't believe how bad this was. It's so weird. I've never met anybody else who has experienced this horrific restlessness when you take these pills.
It's a sign that you've been communing with Satan.
But I needed to breathe out of my nose. I couldn't breathe.
Well, that's also a sign of being a witch.
I agree with you.
You're lucky that we live in the current times, because if this happened in the past, they would have to masturbate the restlessness out of you.
Well, calm down. Wait a minute. That's not the worst thing I've heard.
That's true.
No, I mean, it's the allergies, man. And it's just nice to breathe. But I will tell you this. Zyrtec is witchcraft.
It's all witchcraft, as we learned in Häxan, right?
Häxan?
Whatever.
Hekina?
It doesn't really matter.
You guys remember that?
Yeah. It's too bad you don't have any cats anymore, because you could have just used their feces as part of your...
As part of my ointment.
Yeah.
My witch's
was
ointment.
Was that part of it in the movie? I missed
Cat
the cat
feces.
shit. Yeah.
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 Again, we're jumping the gun.
We're jumping the gun a little.
Yeah.
But these are the things you're going to need. See, what happened was I was bending over to kiss the devil on his ass, which is what I do.
And he
as a
farted
witch.
out a bunch of pollen.
And he farted out a bunch of pollen, which, of course, and I couldn't breathe. So then he's like, hey, bitch, you want a Zyrtec? And I'm like, I guess. And here we are.
He got you twice between the fart and the Zyrtec.
The fart and the Zyrtec. Rocking a hard place. I'll
Satan
tell
in
you
a
what.
lab coat.
I mean, it also doesn't help that it's also 1 billion degrees outside.
It's 1 billion, guys. And I tried to get sympathy from somebody who lives in Atlanta today for how hot it is here. And we're like hundreds of miles north. But still.
I did see a mosquito out there with a damp towel around its shoulders.
You felt bad for it. Like,
Yeah.
you want a drink?
I was like,
No,
whoof.
draw 'em out.
I went out and made sure there was cold water in the bird bath. They've been shitting in it, so there's cold water and their shit, but that's their fault.
Was that a protest?
I don't know.
It's like,
They're filthy animals.
It's probably boiling hot now, and I should
Yeah.
change it, but I'm trying to be a
Did
responsible
they not
person.
like hot water?
Does anybody?
I love it.
Well,
Yeah, it soothes my aching bones. And maybe birds, those birds.
when you're hot,
when
you
you're-
think you think it's like a little hot tub for them?
Yeah. I think they're just
for their
kicking it
aching
out
bird
there.
bones,
I mean, I've seen a bird darting in and out of it. Like maybe they're like, "Ooh, damn, that's too hot."
they get it on their wings, so they just cool themselves down.
Yeah, is that what they do?
Duh.
I don't know.
God, Freddy.
I was watching them today. I had therapy in this room,
Uh-huh.
so I was staring out the window forlornly like a pharmaceutical ad, and watching the birds and the squirrels.
Yeah.
Well, here's the time where it's not the heat that gets you; it's the humidity.
And the getting old enough where you sit and watch the
Yeah.
birds.
It's so dry out right now too, though.
Is it?
Yes, it's fucking dry
Yes,
as
it feels
dry
like
as
a-
bones.
Feels like a sauna to me.
Really?
It's a wet heat.
You
honey.
think it's wet out there right now?
Listen.
You don't know from humidity.
I'm sorry. Excuse me.
You're from Florida. You should know better than to call that a wet
That
heat.
was humid.
Oh my God, that's not that humid.
I swear. It wouldn't be as dangerous if it wasn't humid. Because it prevents you
I
from
mean, it's
like
real fucking hot.
evaporating.
That's also real
It's like,
fucking
I
dry.
worked with humidity, and you, sir, are no
That's
humidity.
no humidity.
You come here, listener, for your meteorological thoughts and feelings, don't you? Well, you're getting them
Yeah.
today.
I was curious. You got me curious about what the humidity is right now.
It's 150 right now.
Andy.
That's the humidity index. There's more
sweat.
There's more like water in the air than actual air.
We've had 0 inches of precipitation, but I don't see where this humidity.
Like this is really so. Andy, have you done anything interesting over the last week?
Maybe you're feeling the dew point.
That is a measure.
The humidity is at 56, humidity. But dew point's at 73.
It's the measure of Mountain Dew outside.
It's part of humidity, you motherfucker. Yeah. Okay.
No,
you haven't watched anything?
Remember you guys gave me that little ice cream maker, and it's still in my front seat because I'm lazy.
Oh shit! God, you gotta put the bowl in the freezer.
I know, but like I keep looking at it every time I get in my car. So one of these days I'm gonna bring that in.
Yeah, just when you go home tonight,
Andy. I can tell you, as somebody who has made her own sorbet now,
that's like I bring that up because that's basically yours and Freddy's life right now.
Is ice cream making?
Homemade ice cream and sorbet.
Because they gave me their little ice cream maker because they upgraded to a industrial size one.
It's not industrial.
Yeah, it's
a Cuisinart.
Yeah,
it's a kitchen commercial ice cream. No,
it's $80 on Amazon.
And
makes ice cream.
Amy made sorbet the other day and it was lovely.
Thank you. I was very nervous.
It was good.
First of all, I've never made a simple syrup. It is indeed simple.
It's in the name, Amy.
It's in the name. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have the ingredients that it said in the recipe, which was like tangerine and lime juice or lemon juice. And I was like, I can improvise. So that means
piss sorbet.
My medication's working and I'm not as anxious about things and I'm able to go with the flow. Yay.
Yeah.
And it's also a testament to how easy the fucking Cuisinart is.
Just think the recipe as a suggestion. Yeah. And the machine does all the work. Just toss everything in there. See what happens.
Was orange juice, there was lime juice, there was a couple of Tangelo juices in there. I went bananas.
Do you just squeeze them into it? Is that what you do? You just squeeze them in?
With all of my anger, all of my frustration at the world.
Delicious sorbet came out the other end.
But squirt. Every time I came over, when you guys had the little one, you guys kept talking about ice cream, and he said, "We made this, we made this," and and like we upgraded, and then I was like, "Oh God,
it's more."
The next time I see them, they're gonna be like that Homer episode.
They thought we'd be like 800 pounds.
It's like that. Remember that Homer episode where he gained weight so he can be on disability?
Well, he was wearing that dress.
We were eating as much ice cream before we had the maker.
It was all happening already.
It's just we have healthier ice cream now because we're in control.
Our sugar, so it's practically calorie free.
So that is kind of why we did it, big part of it. But it's healthier. Like they put all kinds of. I mean, everybody knows this.
Fucking industrial food
stabilizers
industrial complex
and God knows what else.
I feel like all your meals are going to be made from the Cuisinart. You can throw like savory ingredients in.
Yeah,
let's do it. Savory. I'm sure
Freddy was putting together the marinade for tonight's roast.
Yeah,
last night, and I said that's going to be a weird ice cream.
That would be a disgusting ice cream.
I feel like you're going to throw the ingredients for like a Thanksgiving dinner in it, and like here's Thanksgiving ice cream.
Ice cream.
If they can
it's
make
like some of the stuff some people do is I don't know this the ideas people
get. If they can make booger jelly beans, then I can make Thanksgiving dinner flavored.
Well, there was that ranch dressing.
That soda.
There was a ranch dressing ice cream.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, it was. It was that company Van Loonen's or whatever. It was supposed to be
okay, and I was like, no.
Do you like eat it just by itself, or do you like get potato chips and like?
Oh, you put chicken fingers in there. It should be like it's the French pot method ranch ice cream with bits of chicken fingers in there.
So you've not watched anything interesting?
No, I've watched you guys make ice cream.
I've watched me make ice cream too.
Oh, you were asking if we watched anything interesting.
Freddy and I have just embarked on season 2 of Them.
Mm-hmm.
Big recommend so far. We're only like 4 episodes in, 4 or 5.
It's great.
Very fucking creepy. I didn't watch season 1, so I can't tell you about that. But I can tell you that season 2 has got me. And it's set against the backdrop of the Rodney King, like the 90s, early 90s. A fun time period. So, with horrible things happening. I'm not saying that the Rodney King thing was fun. That's not what I said.
I don't like watching like horror stuff in the summer. It just feels like
I love watching horror stuff in the summer.
It doesn't go for me. Like
do you not like campfire stories and stuff like that in the summertime?
No, like I'm talking about just like movie, like
the horror movies.
No, because that's when I watched them at slumber parties, and I didn't really have those unless it was the summertime, like when I was hanging out with my friends or whatever.
Yeah, we went to the drive-in a lot, and that's my experience was seeing a lot of these movies.
Andy,
when I
just
like
cooking.
summer for me is blockbuster season and fun like comedy.
Well, that
stuff.
too.
I can watch horror, but it feels more appropriate to me in spring and winter and fall.
What if it's
the cooler months?
Summer horror, like
Piranha.
But it still feels
Jaws.
more appropriate.
Jaws.
Even like Friday the 13th, that was like
for there to
camping.
be a nip in the air.
Yeah.
You have to have a nip in the air. Is there a so like if it's 55 degrees, are you still good? But like 60, you're like too high.
And you check the dew point.
Psychological thrillers.
Wherever the dew point is.
If the dew point's over 59, he'll watch a psychological thriller.
Okay. It's got to be real damp though.
Yeah. Or below.
Elsa's
snoring over here.
Well, she's usually doing that. So yeah, them is a big recommend. I recommend them. We're also watching there's something else we just started.
As in a drama series?
Yeah.
I watched Sugar.
You watched Sugar and you told me about it. And
Sugar's fantastic.
Interesting as hell.
Avoid all spoilers if you can. If you haven't watched Sugar, it's a new series on Apple TV.
Is that with Colin Farrell?
Colin Farrell. Takes place in L.A., present day, but it's a detective noir story, but there is like, it takes some chances, some real bold moves.
Yeah.
as the season, which is I think 7 or 8 episodes, something like that.
It's funny if you watch Sugar, but you also have to watch your sugars.
I have to watch my Sugar
he's
because
talking about
that's what the doctor meant.
Maybe,
So
maybe
if you watch
shouldn't
your
have been
Sugars.
watching it.
But it's great. It's a great show. I hope they do another season. It kind of left me wanting more. I love what's her name, Amy
Morris, your wife. Hi.
The one who was on the Office.
Oh right,
Oh,
Amy
Amy
Ryan.
Amy Ryan's in it. She's great.
yeah.
It's just a great show. Cast top to bottom, A-listers.
I remembered what we've been watching.
Yeah.
Trashy reality shows.
Oh, Below Deck.
That is, I think, that's good summer watching.
Because it's yachting.
Well, that.
Yeah.
Below
You
Decks.
watched it?
I've heard about it, and just reality TV in general is not my bag.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I used to watch it in the early 2000s, and
The early
late
aughts.
90s when it was like peak
Real World, Survivor.
reality TV. But now that I'm older and realize that it's not quote unquote reality. It never was, but we had the veil of
So you lost interest
ignorance back then.
when it became pro wrestling. You're like, I'm done.
No, like when it became more obviously produced, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was
Right.
always produced. Even if you talk to like the first season
Yes, I
of
know
Real
that,
World,
but, to me, it felt like a more
Yeah.
innocent time where
I would recommend The GOAT to you then.
So we're also watching. Well, first, one quick point before we pivot.
Yeah.
I think like Below Deck. So we're watching the first season, which I think was like 2010, 2011.
I have no idea. It's a while
a long
ago.
time ago. So they hadn't figured out how to not be themselves yet. So I think that's still fun. The early seasons of Vanderpump, man, that's some real shit. It's great. But to what Freddy said is we are also watching The GOAT, and I am separately watching House of Villains. And these are two very similar shows where they bring together like various reality stars from various shows and networks and like make them do a competition show.
Oh, that I didn't realize that's what House of Villains was too.
But this time on that side, it's the villains, like the villain characters. So
It's unrelated to this show entirely, though, right?
Oh,
Isn't this totally
Two
just
different-
Daniel Tosh and Prime?
Yeah, it's two different networks. Joel McHale's doing House of Villains.
Oh, that makes sense.
what
Which
I
makes
know
sense.
about House of Villains because a lot of those clips went viral.
New
But,
York is a
I've
goat.
never heard of GOAT.
The GOAT is the greatest of all time reality star series.
Yeah.
So he has them doing Big Brother type challenges and living in one big room together.
Give me examples of who was on it.
Oh, on the GOAT, we have Kristen Doty from Vanderpump Rules. You have Jill Zarin from Real Housewives of New York. You got some people I don't know, like 90 Day Fiance, Bachelor Nation
See,
stuff.
like,
One of the guys from the Shaws.
I wouldn't know who any of these people are, so
I
couldn't get
do.
invested.
Yeah, it's hard if you don't know any of these people. Then yeah,
Because
like, why?
I know like New York. Tiffany Pollard is on House of Villains, and Johnny Bananas and Johnny Fairplay, I think, is on there.
Johnny Fairplay, blast from the goddamn past. I was like, holy shit.
Omarosa's on it.
Fucking Rosa.
See, like that's the villain reality people I know, like old school stuff. I don't know.
Well, then watch House of Villains with me. I'm a few eps into season.
I'm a little spoiled because I know about New York and that rant that she went off on Omarosa about.
Omarosa's gonna deserve it. I haven't gotten there yet, but I can already tell you she deserves it. Omarosa is she's reality TV gold, and God bless her, she's had a hard goddamn life. But what a cunt. She plays cunt perfect, but too fucking perfect. I hate you. But I don't, because you're not real to me. I don't know you.
You might enjoy the goat too, even though you don't know the people.
Because Tosh is fucking ridiculous.
Well, the concept is kind of like the things that you kind of stupid shit that you want to say when you're watching a reality show. He works into hosting it, and it's pretty funny from that perspective. And also, like, sometimes he just gets way too into it and shows up in a scene. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great.
And they're doing
Davon. Davon is on.
Who's that?
From Big Brother.
The goat. You know Day from Big Brother?
So long.
Oh, okay.
She was kind of a favorite.
She's a black woman. She played so hard. She never got there until, and then she's been on The Challenge a few times too. I love Davon. She's one of my goats, even though she was not playing so well on The Goat. Okay, now it's getting confusing.
Yeah, this is probably a lot for somebody to hear.
And then we were watching some TV show, and they referenced the phrase "goated on the sauce." So it's too much goating.
What does that mean? Goated on? What does goated on the sauce mean?
According to After Midnight, it means cool. You're cool.
Oh,
greatest of all time, right?
You're goated.
But what is?
Yeah, you were greatest of all time.
It's extra Riz dripping off of you.
I can't do it, Amy.
It's a roux, Andy. More of a gravy.
Okay. Can't have this conversation again.
All right, thanks so much. We're just going to end the show here.
On the sauce used to mean you were like drinking and stuff.
Yeah.
And
I think it's different now.
Do you remember bloomers used to mean underwear? And now it just means flowers.
Turn out lights, it's the main attraction.
who calls bloomers flowers?
I don't know, Andy. I was killing time.
Oh my Lord! I'll never get over that.
Häxan.
That was the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Who calls flowers bloomers? I got it mixed up.
Old ladies who are being cute.
They're being cute.
You guys want to see my bloomers? And that's a grandma joke if you ever heard one.
Or don't bend over in the garden, Granny. You know those taters have eyes.
There are a lot of grannies in Häxan.
Oh my God! It's almost exclusively devoted to grannies. I mean, like it's a granny heavy story, and for good reason, because
the crones, bunch of crones.
Well, we did all these poor old ladies.
You did them dirty.
Yeah,
all over Europe.
We have to say that this is more of a witch movie than a nun movie, but there was a segment involving nuns, and
Section 6, we're allowed.
That's enough nun for us to qualify as a nun movie.
Not to mention, though, you could also consider the witches nuns of Satan. And that's kind of
brides of Satan.
Brides of Satan, and that is what's kind of played out
in this. The negative image.
All those ceremonies.
But the nun segment was really good in this, at least.
Yeah. Everything was pretty good in this.
God, you have options to watch it, though.
Häxan. It is completely in the public domain, which means it's probably airing on your phone at any one time.
We watched it on YouTube.
Look down, it's on.
You can see it at
it's an ads.
Almost 2 hour runtime. You can see it at like 90 minutes and less, depending on the edit you see. There's different sound.
We did the hour 45
with a composition. I can't remember who the composer was who did the music on the one we watched, but it really made it more effective. I'll try to.
This is not necessarily a movie.
Yeah. More of a faux documentary type thing. What would you call it?
I likened it to like a Discovery Channel TV series where it's history and you're being taught things, and then they're reenacting it.
Yeah, it had like a narrative though, so it's
the stories had a narrative, so
it's hard to pigeonhole this as one thing.
It's like a PowerPoint presentation that then becomes live action.
But the filmmaker also inserted himself into it with, look what I did to my assistant, and she confessed all these things. So it's
he
kind
talks
of like
and he says
it's like a fake movie documentary type thing.
He's like the Michael Moore
it's almost
of
like,
witch movies from the 20s.
Yeah, it's almost like a little, in a way, like almost like found footage too.
I cannot.
It's like collected facts. The movie is basically taking witch myths and not necessarily, the word is debunking them, but explaining them and kind of giving you the reasons why women were treated like this, but also saying, in a way that makes he disagrees with these things. He's just showing and teaching. And he's like, hey, dumb, religious, crazy, superstitious weirdos.
Well,
quit it.
At first I was, when the beginning of the movie, I was like, God, this is going to be boring. Because it was basically a slideshow and
a droning narration
presentation with his little an actual pointer that comes on screen, and he points at certain pictures like, look at this, look at this.
Here's the devil pouring hot boiling oil down someone's throat, and here's another one open its butt cheeks for someone to kiss the little hole.
You gotta kiss the little hole in the middle.
I mean, it was really interesting stuff he showed us and everything.
Yeah.
But it was like, is this going to be the whole movie?
Well, that's what I wanted to say. And again, I didn't find the name of the composer, but if you want to watch the version we watched, it's listed as Häxan, Witchcraft Through the Ages, 1922 on YouTube, and the user who uploaded it is The Mutt, THAMMUT.
The Mutt, doing the Mutt. Thank you for your service.
It's a good version because you can go through things where they try to match up public domain music to it. Not as effective. There's the William Burroughs version. I watched some of that today.
Oh, I see. I wanted to watch that one because I think I couldn't take notes because this was in another language and I would have to read subtitles, and they were talking a lot.
It was asking a lot of you, wasn't it?
So I didn't take any notes.
I have to read.
The Burroughs version is a shortened version of the film with
Also
a narration. Cool. But the score is jazz. It's very different from what we watch. So, like, depending, the music can really, I think, affect whether you have music or not. If you watch it silent,
I like metal.
I like the music that in the version we watched.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why I recommended that to watch it on YouTube over maybe watching. I know different versions. The Criterion Collection, I think they use Swan Lake.
There's something on Max too, but we didn't watch it there.
So was there a original score that's like lost somewhere or something?
No, it was a silent film.
Oh, it wasn't? Okay.
Yeah, 1922.
Yeah, but most silent films had music. But are you saying this one just...
Silent films were distributed with like not music printed to the film. They were distributed with sheet music for a performer to play.
Oh, shit. That's great.
So they would have an organist play the music.
Why didn't we do that? You know how to play the piano.
I could have done that. I could have played for an hour and 45 minutes.
I want you to Freddy a segment of this movie and put music to it.
I started doing that with Nosferatu. I started rescoring because it was good practice for scoring because you have to learn the beats of a scene. Like literally the beats as how they correspond to music and what you naturally expect to hear. The literal
beats that you eat?
But the person who scored this version of the movie, you could tell, or they got really lucky and found a piece of music that matched perfectly, but you could tell the moments were timed to what was happening in the graphics and in the animations, which were wild. How many different methods? He used stop motion. He used double exposure. They used masks. It looks like they used a lot of makeup. Like in 1922?
This movie had no business looking as good as it did and being as creative as it was. It's very confusing because you like to think they were such dumb fuddy-duddies back then.
They were talking about there was another YouTube video I was watching where this film critic was talking about. It's kind of interesting that this early in 1922 that a filmmaker wasn't satisfied with a single source material to adapt. Instead, this director, Christensen, I can't remember his first name, he was so obsessed with the material that he spent 2 years just reading books and taking this from that book and this from that book and creating his own
TED Talk
version of it, breaking it down to those 7 chapters. Yeah, like a TED Talk, yeah.
A TED Talk.
Way more entertaining.
But like sexier and bloodier.
Yeah.
Kissing more butts in it than you would in a normal TED Talk.
They put all that work in and then the movie got banned all to hell.
Why?
Because of the subject matter. everything about the nudity, the violence.
So angry.
Like, yeah.
I get so angry when motherfucking religion denies people things.
But it turned out, it's a legendary movie now.
I had never heard of it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like I only saw it because we Googled nun movies and this came up. I was like, oh, let's do this one.
My only experience with this prior to watching it for the show is I had it when you would go to Kmart or Walmart around Halloween, they'd set up Halloween films to terrify or whatever, and they'd have all the VHS tapes where you could get them for $5 or whatever, and they'd have 2 or 3 movies on them.
Yeah,
and they were always
find it in a bin or something.
It was in with Night of the Living Dead.
Of course, it was in with Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead. Yeah,
I guess the two most.
And Carnival of Souls was another one I saw that way for the first time, where they were just cheap. They were Halloween movies. They packaged them and put them out every year. An end cap full of just public domain Halloween movies.
I love it.
Yeah, we watched this outdoors in y'all's backyard, and that was a good way to watch it. But I just imagine this would be perfect out in the fall, like crisp air with the fire going.
I might do it again.
I wouldn't lay on the goddamn ground again.
Honestly, I wish
tried to be cool.
We could have shared this experience with more people, because I do think it was really kind of special.
Yeah.
I'd like to put it on an even bigger screen. Put it on
like
the big screen.
Meditative?
Sure.
Yeah, in that you're just reading and taking in, and you're just in that moment.
Right.
Of trying to keep up with the story and the images in front of you.
It's a lot to take in.
It's a lot to take in. I don't know. I learned about ointments. I learned about cat feces in said ointments.
They put it on your back. You can fly.
And then you can fly.
So you know.
What?
Yeah, they called it witch's ointment. And I was like, ooh.
It's an unguent.
Is it unguent?
What if you get it mixed up? You got Alzheimer's. You want to put, not Alzheimer's, arthritis. You put some Bengay, but you accidentally get the witch's ointment.
And you can fly by accident.
Fly away.
One arm.
Guys, just one arm. Can you even be held up by that without breaking your arm? Yes, sir.
I've just spent so much time this month, and all of us having this headspace of I think even the nun movies, as we look back on all of these we've covered so far, they all have these same elements in them. Even though Häxan's so different than the others, it still has that same DNA. You can see its fingerprints on everything else we covered. If we had covered it first, we probably would have been much more attuned to what's happening. What was the first one we did? The very first one?
Immaculate.
There's stuff in Immaculate that's drawn from this. There's stuff in The Devils that's just drawn from this.
Yes.
Especially the butt kissing stuff. If I remember right. Didn't they do that in The Devils too? She go up and spread his cheeks apart and put her face in there at one point. That's the director in Häxan, by the way.
Oh, he plays the devil?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's him getting his ass.
He was a great devil. He was not a boring devil. He was a Austin Powers-esque. He was giving groovy.
Too. But I had no idea that was a thing that the witches did.
Yeah, they're kissing his ass.
As a ritual for the devil, they go up and kiss the devil's butt, literally.
Yeah.
Did we determine if
and it was fun. They had this a witches like a party. It's like a bacchanal almost, where they're dancing around the fire, and the devil just bends over, and these lineup of witches come up and kiss his ass one by one.
It's like a festival. It's like, are they gonna have the ass kissing booth again?
And watching this, I was like, you know what? If I lived in the Middle Ages, and that was my life, I would
worship Satan.
They were having a good time,
and just plague is all around me. And someone's like, hey, you want to fly?
You want to fly?
You want to dance around the fire? I'm like, yeah, sure.
I ask you all the time if you want to fly, but you'll never smoke PCP with me.
Andy.
I feel so downtrodden.
No, seriously. We live in a pretty a weird time where you feel like most people aren't religious except for those in government. And
a lot of people are privately religious, though.
Whatever. I think more and more people are identifying as not as agnostic or atheist than ever before.
Or publicly, they feel safe to do it.
Yeah, whatever.
For the first time.
Just that there's more of them, but it seems like we are getting more and more religious pressure on what we can do and see and say. Like as we ban more states from being able to access Pornhub. You know what I mean? So the parallels of what this man I think is fighting against, I think is happening again continues to happen, I guess. Let's just be real. Continues to even hold fucking power now.
Of it, you mean?
The just making everybody fucking live the way you want them to.
Yeah, it's like, especially at the end where he was the parallels between the lady with like mental health issues,
the old woman,
and how in the past that she would just be accused of being a witch, and thrown away.
Yeah, yeah.
But now that we have a better understanding of how people.
Now we don't think she's a witch, but we still throw her away.
Yeah. We still throw people away less than we used to, but yeah, I think you're right. It's really just another label, like psychology and psychiatry. I mean, there's a reason that people still feel like that's witchcraft, because it's based on. It's hard to measure these things about the brain and what goes on in your mind and your imagination or in your heart and your soul. Like, how do you measure that stuff? Because that's really what psychiatrists and psychologists are trying to do.
Not trying to measure anything. They're not trying to measure anything.
Absolutely.
They're trying to give you a pathway to.
But you can only reckon with something once you've measured it.
Otherwise,
it'd be like, everything under heaven belongs to the king. All right, how do you measure that? Like, is that an idea just saying that literally everything you see forever and ever?
Okay,
and ever?
I get it.
Like, you have to measure these things. Like, and that's just like in this movie, they showed the ways they had these crazy ways of measuring whether you're a witch or not. How many fucking times can you suck on Satan's nipple before he laughs and farts at the same time?
Well, regardless, if you're accused of being a witch back then, it's like you're screwed regardless.
Why is it always women? 100%. I mean, I know it was not 100% women, but let's be real, it's 90% women. Mm-hmm. Why was it women?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Men are so jealous of my fucking womb. Get over it, okay?
It was just a lot of it, but they even
you can have it. I don't want it.
There was a lot of examples of both genders in this. Like in the wood carvings.
A lot of examples?
They're like, there's a sorcerer with her here. Here's a male with her here. Like, she's cavorting with this person who we don't know is the devil.
Because she turned him into that. Because she made him wicked.
It's because you women are so easily seduced.
I agree.
You guys can't think for yourselves. And once the devil gets his claws into you, you're lost, Amy.
Why?
I think because once they got that idea of a witch's Sabbath and it's all these women out in the woods, because I think the reason is that it goes all the way back hunter-gatherer, because you have hunter-gatherer, the women are the ones who are working with plants and discovering medicines and all this stuff, and they
we
also
bleed and it's gross.
And also but also, like, you think about, like, in the nighttime, as the hunters are coming back and who's telling the stories of the day and having meetings and being the social structure. I think that's why women get accused of being witches, because they were mysterious for so long, because they were a whole separate life.
Because men refuse to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kidding. I'm making jokes right now. It just...
Yeah, like, just
at the end of the day, you guys think we're very powerful because we can make life, and at the end of the day, we are.
Yeah, I think it was a mistake.
And you're fucking scared.
Ever for us to divide into hunter-gatherers.
Scared of us. Yes.
But just watching the movie, it was very enlightening to see just how women were treated back then. And it's like, it's nothing you really don't know already.
Yeah, it's like
just seeing the reenactments of it, and
you know it academically.
Yeah,
but when you see it,
it was just when you see it, it was like, whoa, it hits harder, and just the way that they depicted it in the movie, it was like really so well done.
Yeah,
and aside from the social stuff, blah blah blah, that's a little probably above our pay grade right now. But just the movie itself, just in the witch's hut. It was just so well made.
Yeah.
And it's like, it felt like a documentary. It felt, to me, it felt real.
Well, there's, again,
it was like
the guy,
best depiction of what the life was back then in the medieval times.
I think there's a level of obsession with this guy who made this movie that, well, the stories about how they shot it at night, even though they didn't have to, because they shot it in a studio. Yet he insisted that they start shooting after dark every day.
Well, it felt like it didn't feel like studio-ish at times.
No,
those were all
good
studio.
Lighting.
Yeah, the cinematography, like we can see things. That's the best part of it. It was dark, but we could make things out.
Yeah, tightly controlled.
Yeah, Hollywood today needs to take some notes. Can't see shit.
Yeah.
Couple of notes I did manage to take. Hold on, I'm so sorry. Hell is in the Earth's core. That concept that's where hell is and not some other mysterious place like where heaven is. Just do you ever think about the Earth's core? Just like what is down there? Do you ever think about it?
I'm a believer in
just a bunch of lava.
Yeah.
There's some lava, and then there's something spinning around in there too.
The hollow Earth theory too.
There's something spinning. And then it started spinning a different way or something recently.
You're saying something in addition to the molten core of the Earth is in there?
There's something in there.
Based upon what?
I don't know. That X-Files episode.
I'm just kind of curious.
Your wife's a witch. We need to do something about that.
You might want to.
Oh.
Our narrator, who's the director, says something. This is the quote I wrote down. I have found an old mechanical version of hell. And then we get to see it. This like toy of sorts.
Yeah. With the bellows on one side and a shovel. The guy's shoveling coal on the other, and above that's a cauldron.
I want an old mechanical version of hell. Where do I get that? Germany in the 20s?
Probably.
Germany, and a lot of times.
Yeah, those are really neat. Antique shops have stuff like that, but nothing quite as dark as that I've never seen.
And I like the build up of it, like kind of like the little things the witches did. Like it started off with a love potion, and that's where the cat feces came to play.
And then there was cat feces.
That's how you make it someone love you.
This lady puts this potion in this the friar's drink, and I love depictions of
glutton
of flirting back then. They just chased people around the tables and trees.
It's like a live version of Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah.
There's
where the animatronics are on the track chasing after each other.
Let's bring that back.
Let's bring back chasing women around a table.
There's
or trees,
an interesting thing about
just anything. You could chase women around cars, anything.
A roundabout in the street.
But that's how you know a man likes you, if he chases you around something.
Gee, Freddy, you haven't chased me around in a while.
I got bone spurs these days.
But then it slowly ramps up between the little love potion and then we see.
Oh yeah, the friar becomes part of like this council of religious men that are trying to, in the through line of this, they become a through line.
And then we see ladies being accused of witchery, and them forcing confessions out of them, and then the lady goes like, "Fuck you! I'm accusing everybody."
Well,
bitch,
she was getting the people who accuse her.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, it was great because she's been condemned at this point
after she's being tortured and
she's like,
getting
I ain't
a
gonna
confession
be
wrung out of her. Is like, well, you know who else I saw do this, and she I love it. She brings everybody down with her.
She did.
Is this witch thing? Are there parallels in other sorts of cultures, like thinking about like indigenous peoples or
you mean how they
Asian
handle
cultures? Yeah. What is their version? Because there has to be a version.
It's a heavy question to lay on the last parts of the podcast.
I'm gonna have to do some heavy googs on that.
Do I look like Google Amy?
Yes, you do, Andy. You don't. What were you gonna say, babe? You weren't. Okay, good.
I had a thought earlier, but I lost it and everything.
Oh, look at this guy over here bragging about having a thought.
Couldn't be important.
So, and eventually, everybody in this household is being accused of a witch.
Yeah,
and they clean house, basically. And this poor baby is just left by herself.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
do you remember that?
I forgot about the baby.
And then, like, when it comes down to the last lady, like, it's like, are you gonna let this child die by itself? Confess now, and we'll let you go.
Jesus.
And they set her up.
We're gonna let you go. If you believe that, I got a bridge in New York to sell you.
So eventually, this poor baby is just left by itself, I think, and to starve to death or killed or something.
It's awful.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, I remember what I was gonna say before. The Benny Hill quality to a lot of the carousing in the movie, like they don't know if he was doing that to be funny or if that's really
sped up.
Yeah. Like they're like apparently I guess in all the interviews and stuff like there's no that I could find where they pin down what tone he was going for. If it's supposed to be like you're laughing at it and that this is religion is silly, or if it's supposed to be scary.
I probably can see moments where it's both.
Yeah.
I just said there are a lot of good faces in this movie.
Good faces.
Especially,
I don't disagree.
The main witch that's being tortured and the friar guy.
Yeah.
A lot of good close-ups and face acting.
Yeah.
But not like
forked tongues.
Yeah. But it wasn't. The thing about the acting was so good. Even though it was silent, you can still get the narrative.
The acting was so good,
without even like the descriptions.
Really
in between
you don't
scenes.
really need them.
Yeah,
you could kind of figure it out.
More modern than it should be. You know, even the way he spoke, the way he put it together, it was just more like talking to somebody from more our time than 100 years ago, over 100 years ago. Movies are over 100 years old now. That made me feel old, like time is passing, because they were not ever 100 years old.
Well, this
until
feels,
now.
When you talk about this movie feeling contemporary, both of you, like that's my experience, and what makes me feel a little older is that it does feel new. Like so many things that I go back and watch now where I'm like, I'll watch movies from the 20s, 30s, and 40s, right?
Yeah.
Not just cyclical, but I'm like, they did it. It's they're not improving this. This is not really a drastically improved medium. It's like, yes, it's color. Yes, it's bigger. It's louder. And we have 3D.
But they were doing what they needed to do back then, and we should have just quit.
No.
We didn't know.
What I'm saying is that you realize that nothing is really that new under the sun. I think
good filmmaking is timeless.
Yeah.
And this is just really good filmmaking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it feels like a book come to life too, which is something special.
So do you want to talk about, since it's Nun Month, we can talk about the nun segment. It's basically one nun goes crazy and the craziness spreads throughout the abbey. Is that
all possessed by some sort of devil. Yeah, it's the devils. It's essentially just the devils.
The devils with no nudity and
the only titties in this were drawn. Yeah.
Nobody's fucking each other.
There was nudity in this.
I know, but like I'm talking about
compared in this segment.
The nun segment,
because the movie had nudity.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the nun segment in particular. It wasn't like the devils gave us the idea, but this was from the 20s, obviously. So their idea of craziness is nuns just spinning around.
Yeah,
they were not naked Cirque du Soleil.
Right. This segment didn't have nudity in it. I guess.
But it was essentially, it was
the other segments definitely
the infectious nature of these. They're sort of like a UFO flap. It's like we're all possessed by the devil witchcraft flap. At this convent.
Just kind of happen. It's just something that, is it like those teenagers that all stop talking or whatever?
Yeah. So what is it? Does that happen to groups of young men, or is it a groups of young women thing where there is like a social contagion of sort where they start having tics or they start having similar illnesses that are unexplained and are not physically present inside their bodies? And
is it kind of how you like when one lady has her period, then everybody syncs up?
You know what? It could fucking be, man. And that's another reason y'all are jealous and you've subjugated us for hundreds of thousands of years.
So one nun in this movie had her period, then everybody went just crazy.
Do you see why they keep us out of the churches when we are bleeding?
But I like the original crazy nun. She steals the baby Jesus from the altar.
That's right.
And the devil just shows up and kind of like harasses her.
I like that she just yoinked it out there. It was funny and an odd choice too. It was just a weird thing to do in general. So was she said? You think she was mentally ill? Like,
yeah, I think
that's
so.
The thing. The angle there is the filmmaker. Why this feels like a documentary so much? There's no angle. Like everything that Amy's pulling out, we're pulling out that is very much like social issues. I don't think any of that was his intention.
Probably not.
I think that he was a guy who saw this as a really interesting topic, who was agnostic or atheist, and wanted to just lay out all of the fucking possibilities.
And I'm not calling him a feminist. Don't worry.
He might have been.
It felt feminist to me in a way.
It did feel that way.
Yeah.
But what Freddy's saying, I'm putting my shit on it, and I don't know for sure.
That's why it's so good. Is we all put our own shit on it.
I took my shit.
We all did.
Put it on it.
Like I think all of us took something away.
So to me, this was very much, from my point of view, a feminist atheist did this, and they were trying to show you, God, how stupid this shit is. Anyway,
I mean, if he wasn't,
the nun shit is probably related to, again, repressing who these women and what biological and mental and like spiritual needs these women have are being repressed. What were you gonna say? I'm so sorry.
I forgot.
Well, you're welcome.
She bewitched you.
I got a lot to say.
It wasn't important.
She snatched those thoughts out of your head.
Yeah.
Give them.
Yeah, I can't hold on to a thought like I used to.
Oh, no, I had this same note. I had to keep looking at it like 5 times because I hadn't had a chance to say it yet, and I kept forgetting what it was. Yeah. And the note was, he remarks early on in the movie, like in the first part, that it was customary for people to sleep naked back then. Like talking about 1400s, 1500s. And I'm like, what? You guys don't do that now?
It's like, I'm like,
in the 20s?
I think he's assuming nobody else sleeps naked.
Well, also consider what part of the world he's from. You know, like maybe there's other traditions there. I don't know.
True, but I'm saying I think Germany was kind of a root and tune place.
Was he German?
Before. I thought this movie
was
came.
it
was Swiss.
Yeah.
I think, Europe was doing okay, just like the U.S. was doing okay, Gilded Age times, right before the crash.
I can't sleep with clothes on nowadays.
Yeah, this was...
I just feel so constricted.
I don't like it, but I can do it.
If I have to, if I'm traveling with somebody.
If you're traveling with somebody.
And somebody's like sleeping next to me in the bed next to me, I'm like,
yeah,
I'll do them a solid and put some clothes on.
Put some clothes on, would you?
Movie's Danish.
At least some underwear.
Not in my experience traveling with Andy, and all of us really, we all sleep in our underwear. Who cares? Because we love each other and we're family. But I have to go be on a train with my mom for 2 days, and I'm gonna make sure we're both clothed because it's a small little sleeper car, and I don't want to be seeing anything I don't need to see. I love you, Mom, but no.
You're just gonna get kind of classic silk pajamas.
No, I want a sleep shirt like Ebenezer Scrooge wears.
Done.
With a hat.
Those are cheap.
Yeah, you should get one of those marabou robes like Blanche Devereaux had.
Oh shit! With a little bit of feathers on the end, maybe. A little bit. Anything else? Sorry. I thought, I don't remember exactly what each segment was. It doesn't matter. There's 7 segments. They're all pretty cool. First one is a little bit school
clinical.
Yeah, you kind of need the.
You learn a lot, so just keep yourself. Take the edible right when it starts. By the time it moves into the weird shit, you're good.
And I highly, again, if you're gonna watch this, you could watch it dead silent, or you could watch it with that on the YouTube link.
I liked having music.
Yeah, the music, the right music's important. Because I watched it with another score that somebody made themselves, and it didn't do anything for me. It just hurt.
Was it a Britney Spears album?
Hurt the film, actually. It made the film look
What
stupid.
if this movie, when lined up with Britney Spears' Hit Me Baby One More Time, that album, what if it's like Dark Side of the Moon?
You'd have to play Britney Spears like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, but think about that.
I don't want to.
What if Britney Spears' album was composed to match up with Häxan?
I highly doubt it.
Well, anyway. Anything else, Andy?
Yeah, I just it's a pleasant surprise.
It really was, and I was doubting it at first because I'm like, oh god, and then I forgot about some of my aches and pains from lying on the ground outside watching it.
At the end, it says "the end," but in subtitles, but on the screen it said "slut."
Period.
I'm sure it pronounced like "sloot" or something, but
yeah,
I'm sure.
Now we know how to say "the end"
in Danish.
Sloot.
Sloot.
What's the difference between Danish and Swedish as a language? Is it 2 different languages?
I don't. This was a Scandinavian movie, I guess, but like.
You're giving this to me?
We know a word, slut,
and we are not slut shaming because we're not even talking about it. All right.
We did it.
Next week is going to be listener pick. I don't have that listener pick yet. But don't you worry. We'll have something planned that is super awesome for you. And to get your nun, At the end of every show, we say hi to our Beelzebubs.
All right.
Freddy's going to read it for me. Patreon.com/NOTLP.
My childhood friend, Matt.
He is your childhood friend. He's my high school friend.
My adult friends, Branan and Emily. My online friends, Jeff L.
Jeffel.
Iona Goodwin.
I had a great one.
Dr. Brian, who I have met in person.
That's true.
I've also met Old Dirty Bill Sturd in person.
I met that little son
Great
of a bitch.
dude. I've met Bill Fahrner in person.
That's true, I have too.
Such a treat. Blayne Yogurt.
I have not. Blayne, where are you?
On the bottom. Jordash. Jeans.
That's Joe.
It's Joe, who we've also
I met that
had
boy.
the pleasure of meeting. And Monica.
I have met, yes.
In Chicago.
Yeah.
Jeremy, Cassie, and Gamora.
Oh, I met them.
What a wonderful trio. What a
Jeremy was
family.
the first person who we have ever met, the first stranger we have ever met that had heard this show.
Yeah, just randomly
Ever.
in public met. Yeah. Ernie, who I would love to see again, but I know you're in the deep heart of Texas, but maybe we'll end up at a horror con together again soon. And last but not least, Dave Siebert, a local friend who I've known before the podcast as well.
A local friend for local people.
Local. Thank you guys so much. We couldn't do it without you. And other patrons as well. Thank you. We like to send you special things there at patreon.com/NOTLP and keep things exciting. I hope you
Isn't that fun?
All right, we're off to kiss the devil's butt now. Bye.
Bye.